Good day, good people, and welcome to Real Chicks Rock Presents Real Discussions. I am your host, Michelle Dawes-Bird, and as always, I'm super excited to be here with you. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It's feeling like here in Atlanta, a little bit of fall, just a teeny bit. It's not as hot as it's been these past couple of weeks. I've left you for the past few weeks. I'm so sorry. I was housing in the park 2 weeks ago, but I did leave you with a replay. But today is something fresh and new and different, and I'm so excited to have this conversation with my guest. But before I introduce her, let me just welcome all the new listeners and all the people that are checking us out for the first time and returning listeners. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Let me give you a little background about what Real Chicks Rock is all about. We're all about creatively collaborating and connecting to raise awareness regarding issues that impact women. And we do it by way of community service engagement, public speaking, mentoring, workshops, and the arts. We have been doing this particular platform talking to people about issues that impact us, trying to raise awareness, providing solutions, and just people that I admire and like. Since 2016, I'm gonna let you do the math, right? So we've been doing this for a minute, and today is no different. I like this person. I see this person, I hug her, I squeeze on her, I love on her. She is someone that is a staple here in Atlanta in the house community and abroad. And so we're going to talk to her today about her story. It's Louisiana's finest. We got Kayenne live. Hello, Kayenne. How you doing? I think you're still on mute. I think I see a little redness there on the mic.
There we go.
There we go. How you doing?
Help me out here.
Yeah, no worries. Technology at its finest. How you doing?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, good to see you. You're looking well. 1 minute you're here in the A. Now you're back home. You're catching flights. You're doing things. You're on the move. We're going to talk about all of that. Let's fasten our seat belts and buckle in. So you were born in Baton Rouge, right?
Born and bred, Baton Rouge. I was born here all the way up through my undergraduate at Southern University, the Southern University.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Tell me, what was your neighborhood like as a kid back in Baton Rouge?
Quiet, close-knit. I can remember, being able to walk to the bus stop, when kids were really walking to the bus stop back then.
Right.
And, a few blocks, and just being able to ride my big wheel through the streets. And,
she had a big wheel.
Yes, with the plastic wheels.
You had a big wheel. Go, girl. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was close knit, and some of those people on that street. When you think of when you say my childhood neighborhood, I think of this particular first home, and I'm still very close with some of those people.
Gotcha. What kind of music were you listening to? You remember as a kid? What did you like?
Oh, I do. I remember distinctively listening to strictly only gospel.
Really?
Yes, my mama was not having any secular music in the house.
Wow.
So she's a minister, so we were always in the church.
Wow.
Nothing but gospel. As I got older, I would kind of spoon feed her jazz. It's no words, Mom. It's no words.
It's just instrumental. Yeah.
And then slide in some Sade, and then a little bit of reggae. But the volume had to be real. Palatable.
So you were listening probably to the Canton Spirituals, Shirley
Clark
Caesars,
Sisters,
Caravans,
the Winans. I mean, all the greats.
Man, so life as a kid with a minister in the house was probably very difficult for you.
It could be at times, strict, but the good thing is that I have some deeply rooted values, of course. And I have that reference point when I need spiritual support, and I can tap into that. But definitely it was a strict household, kind of intense at times. But, as an adult, I've learned to reevaluate what the impact of that was for me and turn it into resilience and perseverance and those things.
Got you. Talk to me about, how did we get to Southern, and what were we studying when we got there?
So, Baton Rouge, it's kind of a pathway to Southern University, right? You know, my parents met going to Southern University. My brother went to Southern. You know, it's just a community of Southernites, honestly. And so I spent a lot of time on the campus in high school and a lot of the summer programs. So I was pretty much groomed to, you know, to go to Southern.
Okay.
Which I'm very proud of.
Good. And what were you studying? What was your major?
My undergrad was therapeutic recreation. It's a holistic health field and allied health, right along with occupational therapy and speech therapy. And I was actually 16, Michelle, when I started college.
Wow.
Yes, I went to Baton Rouge Magnet High School and I graduated a year early. I graduated in my junior year and started Southern University.
Wow. That's awesome. So you started college early. So because of the way you were being raised as a kid at home, gospel music, now you're young, smart, cute, Southern. Did you turn up at certain? Were you focused, or did you? Okay, all right.
I did my share. I did my share, but you know, I moved out the house when I was 18.
Okay,
and so I'm fresh at Southern, and then everything was on my own. He's like, okay, you out the house, you grown then. So I'm paying tuition. I'm working 4 jobs at a time. So I had like work studies in between classes, then I had weekend jobs and I had evening jobs during the week. So I was working and, you know, I was getting my little fun, but I was trying to just figure it all out. You know, no one really told me about interest rates and late fees.
Right. And that when you borrow something, when you borrow something, you got to pay it back. It ain't for free.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, I was learning, and the School of Hard Knocks just taught me how to adult. But I was focused on getting my degree. I graduated with honors at 20 years old.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah. Then fast forward 20 years. I went got my master's.
Yeah. We're gonna talk about that. So
once I graduated, I was like, I'm out of here.
Yeah. So did that lead you to Atlanta? How did we get from?
Well, by way of Jackson, Mississippi. So my first job out of college was a lot of people don't know this, but I started off in mental health, and so I was head of my department at a brain injury acute care rehabilitation hospital in Jackson, Mississippi, Methodist Hospital. And I stayed there a year and a half, and I was doing my therapy and just learning how to be out on my own in a different state, you know, not so far from Louisiana, but it really taught me a lot about myself and just being mature.
Really smart individual. So you were in Memphis, Jackson,
Mississippi.
Jackson, Mississippi. I'm sorry. And so you're there. And so how did we get to Atlanta from there?
So shouts out to David Banner. First of all, he was SGA president of Southern University. And he repped Jackson. He repped Mississippi hard. And so we were friends, and I did some music with him and just kind of getting my feet wet. You know, I did some previously to move into Jackson, but I was still trying to understand my voice and what I wanted to do musically and, you know, sharpening my pen, you know, writing. And so, you know, I knew that he moved to Atlanta, and not necessarily the move because of him, but it just introduced me to Atlanta. And I had visited Atlanta when I was younger and fell in love with it. And so I guess in the back of my mind, I subconsciously was just like, you know, this may be where I'm going to end up. And so I up and quit my job. I actually did some employee development with the job. And my boss literally said, don't go to Atlanta and come back and quit. And I was like, okay. I got to Atlanta. I was like, this is it. And I went back to Jackson, and I stayed maybe a couple weeks, you know, just to make it not seem like I had already made the decision, and I quit. And I stayed a few more months just trying to stack some money. And this is when 9/11 happened.
Wow.
So I quit my job. I'm sitting looking at TV, and the news is on, and I'm like, oh my God.
Wow.
I don't know what the state of the economy is going to be. Of course, the trauma of this happening to all these people. Yes. But now I'm also like, what did I just do?
It resonated.
Yeah. I didn't have
Wow.
anywhere to live. I stayed on my friend girl's floor for a few months, about 6 months, and just putting in job applications, but also, the duality of trying to figure out the industry.
Yeah, yeah. And so, did the musical bug hit you when you were still in Baton Rouge? Because you did a little. Did you do a little singing there? And then you
I
was like, "This is
did,
something I like."
of course, the church thing.
Yeah.
But I was always into a variety of music. My father is the one that really inspired me. Shouts out to Grasshopper.
All right.
And Hopper, it was the bass player for this 70s band called the Underground Express.
Okay.
And his music is phenomenal. But he introduced me to Terrence Trent D'Arby, Phil Collins, and ZZ Top, and ZZ Hill,
Yeah.
and Leonard Skinner.
Come
So
on.
I would, my parents divorced when I was 1, so I would spend time with my dad,
Okay.
and it was just music, music, music. So
Okay.
that really, I got bit by the bug with the blues and Zydeco and rock and roll.
Everything.
And so I dabbled some in the studio. And when I tell you, I was nowhere where I'm at now. I listened to some of those old recordings and I'm like, oh my God, what made me know that I could do this? Because if you listen to the music, in the vocals, it wasn't quite there yet. But I did do some recording, and then a little bit in Jackson, Mississippi. But I didn't full-fledged jump into the rhythm until I moved to Atlanta.
And Dave Banner must have heard something in you because he wanted to do some work with you, and that kind of got you in the direction. So now it's 9/11. A lot of changes going on, definitely in New York, but across the country and across the world, and things have changed. No longer can we just walk up in the airport and sit with our family at the gate. We got to be waving goodbye from the street. And everything's changing. And so you're right. We didn't know what the economy was. Some of us are living in fear, blah, blah, blah. So now here you are in Atlanta, because Atlanta is beautiful, right? It's a lot of beautiful black people. Not that there isn't beautiful black people in Louisiana, but it's something about here in Atlanta. There's music, there's R&B, there's soul, there's live music, there's spoken word, there's house, there's hip hop, there's everything going on, right? And so now you're in the midst. And so how you trying to get it happening? So how is it going for you?
Talk about eyes wide.
Yeah.
This is it, honey. This is it. But I was vigilant about how am I going to create this pathway for myself.
Yes.
Where do I need to be? What spaces do I need to be in? What kind of mindset do I need to be in? So he introduced me to Bone Crusher. Bone Crusher would take me around to studios with him. I met T.I. and, I was just in different spaces with him and doing hooks. I did a lot of hooks.
Okay.
I knew I wanted to do full songs of just myself, but I started off just doing a lot of hooks and demoing songs for major labels and getting paid just to demo songs, just getting my voice heard, doing a lot of open mics, Cafe, was it 229?
Yeah.
Is it 229? And Apache, of course, and just finding opportunities to sing out. And I had a list, Michelle, of studios. I would go knock on those doors. I had it planned. Every day it was go down to the office, computers where I was living and do resumes, right? Job hunt. Right. And then the second half was following this list of these prominent, what are the studios here? I would ask questions. And I would go knock on those doors every day. Hey, I'm a singer. Do you need any vocalists? And the doors would just shut. I remember, going to Alan Henderson's studio. I don't even know if it's still around, but they closed the door on me. They just cracked the door, Michelle, and was like, no, we don't need any singers. And I kept going back. And eventually the right person answered the door. And so I started working in Hindu. And someone said, stop saying you're a singer. Start saying that you're a songwriter.
Okay.
There singers come a dime a dozen, but if you're a songwriter, and then you can turn around and demo the song and sing the song. So my goal was song placement. I wrote a lot of those early R&B. I started off in R&B, so house music. I knew nothing of house music, nothing till I moved to Atlanta, and so
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome because doors keep closing, but you just persevere. You was like, I got to keep going. So while these doors were shutting, were you working, doing some other stuff, hustling on the side?
Here
like
and
doing,
there, all of that.
Yeah.
Listen, you want to talk about hustling, yes. So, it was rough, but I was staying afloat, just trying to build my network. And being in Hindu, I was introduced to Isaac Hayes III, Ike Dirty. Shouts out to Ike Dirty, and some good people that really took me under their wing. And I was able to hone in my craft. I met Armando Colon, which is my best mentor and buddy for life.
Yes.
20 years strong at this point, Grammy Award winner. So most of my pop R&B music on the Best Kept Secret EP is his production. And it was like a boot camp. I would work 8 to 5, then go all the way around the other side of 285 and meet with him every day after work.
Yeah.
I would be nodding off in the
tired.
studio, just tired, but determined to get some content and develop some material. And just, he really heard my voice. I think I have a different approach to singing, styling, and he understood how to style my voice and to teach me how to deliver into the microphone and sing in the studio, and layers and harmonies and stacking and writing. I mean, he was like, what you got? And I would sing and he's like, that's whack. Do it again. I'm like, I thought it was hot, I really groomed, I was under, some really good leadership in developing my craft.
You really learned the business,
Oh, yeah.
You really learned music.
That as well, learning about publishing and splits and copyrights, royalties, I'm ASCAP artist. So early on, I was more focused on, okay, I need to understand the business so I don't get screwed. I've been approached by managers, and I've never been managed simply because no one ever approached me that knew enough or more than what I did.
Okay.
Or their money wasn't long enough to supplement the lack of knowledge.
I understand that.
Or the resources or the connections weren't long enough. If you don't know the business, then I need you to be able to leverage that void. And so I've always just managed myself.
Let me ask you, Kayenne, why didn't you give up? What kept you going? Because you're a degree.
That is a good question.
You're a degreed woman at this point. You've accomplished a lot before 20, right? You know, you got your degree. You were head of a department. Then you leave. You come to Atlanta, and it wasn't the streets weren't paved for gold for you yet. So it was hard. Why didn't you give up? What kept you going?
I even went through about 8 months of homelessness. People don't know that, I was showing up in studios and performing, and I didn't know where I was sleeping that night.
Wow.
I didn't give up because I had something to say. I had a story. I had things I wanted to convey that I was experiencing, and things that I had ambition for.
Yes.
A lot of the songs were a projection of what I wanted for my life. A lot of the songs are telling the stories of people that I met and witnessing their journey. And most of it is my own personal story, what I dealt with, with trauma in childhood, relationships, this longing for, just what I want for my future. And I was just determined. I was determined to learn. I was open to receiving guidance, and just understand. I mean, music just drives you. Music just powers you forward.
Yeah, it does. It's a healer. Music
it is
truly a healer. It tells the story of your life. It is universal. It is a gift to all of us. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it does have a lot of flowers to it. So I can totally understand that. I wanted to ask you, in everything that you were doing there, you remember your first hit, like your first song? And
I do.
Tell us about that experience.
I do. You're so good, Michelle. you know what you're doing, girl. Listen. Because I'm in my mind, I'm like, oh, I hope I get to talk about this.
Yeah,
And you're
yeah.
like
Come on,
bringing
girl.
me there.
Yes,
So
yes.
I started working with Stress Free Entertainment.
Okay.
Shouts out to Baba B. Lou, Brad Lewis, and his lovely life and dear friend Kia Lewis as well. So Brad and Tim Barnwell forever will be my love of my life. Tim, aka Headliner, which was one of the co-founder along with Speech for Arrested Development.
Okay.
And he was also the DJ. And so those two gentlemen were the CEOs and founders of Stress Free Entertainment. And again, God, brought me to these places where it was like a boot camp of sorts. Every day, just going over there and being nurtured and developed and being able to record and write freely, working with some great fellow artists under Stress Free Entertainment, May Taylor, some great, phenomenal vocalists came out of that camp. And we're really talking about maybe doing a documentary of that period, because it was just so much artistic stimulation going on with working with Stress Free Entertainment. So to answer your question, the first song that gave me some notoriety was Love Shampoo. It would play WRFG. Shouts out to Tabone, DJ Tabone. Loved that song. It really gave me a lot of airplay on WRFG. And just some great opportunities came out of that.
Yeah, you look good. And I want to say this too about you, Kayenne. You got stage presence. You know what I'm saying? You can, the way you hold the mic, the way you speak into the mic, project and sing, and just command everyone's attention when you're singing. You have that. Now I've seen that in dark lit studio cafes and clubs versus outside. Like you've been outside and getting people to participate and being involved in the songs that you're singing. Cause
Wednesday Wind Down.
Wednesday Wind Down. Greenhouse. Shouts out to Yusef. Always wants him some cayenne pepper. Wants some cayenne, don't he? Yeah. You come and sing and we just are so enthralled with your performance. And then you sung at Centennial Park. I think it was for Juneteenth, when it was the first official holiday for Juneteenth, and everybody was taking things to the street and festivals because we're in the middle of COVID at that time.
That's true.
And you were there on the stage looking good. Shouts out to Adisa with some footage, because he loves you.
Adisa Carter has championed for me from day one, and was booking shows and playing that manager role, and just really was so enthusiastic, and still is, about my craft. And as much as I can say that there was some challenges and struggles, all of that was always countered and balanced out. And you say, why did I keep going? People like that is why I kept going. And, I was blessed with, that supportive network that encouraged me and also gave me constructive criticism. Adisa will give it to you, honey. Listen, he will tell you.
He'll tell you, which is good. You need friends
and
like
he's
that.
pretty much like the first person I'll let listen, to anything new. I'm like making a beeline. What you think? Straight to Adisa. So shouts out to Adisa Carter.
That's awesome. We like him. Shouts out to him for sure. I'm gonna switch gears here with you, Kayenne, because we're talking about it on the A side, on the sunny side of the street, and all the good things that were happening to you or eventually started to happen for you here in Atlanta. But there was a time that you had to leave Atlanta and go back home. And we as a community, and when I say community, the house community, we were sad because we were going to miss you.
Yeah.
Right? It was a sad time, but we had to understand your reasons why. You want to share with us a little bit that time in your life?
And, it's interesting because, so I was doing the R&B, and then I would go to the house music events at MJQ, and like you said, all the events in Piedmont Park and all of that. And it never really occurred to me to do house music. I also used to work at Opry DM, and Stan would come. And also Kevin Latham, shouts out to those brothers. And he was like, you should do house music. Here I am with my little EP of my R&B stuff. Like, y'all check this out.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we don't do house music, but I'll listen to it. Great vocals, whatever, great songwriting.
Right.
You should do house music. And I'm like, I don't know how to write to house, because it's just different. It's a different vibe, and it's different production style. And so eventually I started working with Kai and Salah, and did some work with Kemet on this upcoming project. But that happened. And so in the middle of some momentum, like you said, if I had the releases with someone and Love Don't Love You Back and Hey Young World. And so, my personal life was having some challenges. Some people know to what degree, and some people don't. But just to shed some light, I was having some self-destructive behavior, some unhealthy lifestyles, and I was also in some relationships that triggered even more self-destructive behavior, unfortunately, and just unhealthy. And the period came where I left, I was pregnant. And so I had been in a 3-year relationship. We're good friends now to this day, but sometimes when you're involved in a relationship, that it's time to leave, but it takes some time, right? And so I already knew that was something I wanted to transition out of. And then here I come with child. And so I wanted to change my environment. I wanted to not be in a relationship where I just was going to not be happy. I wanted to carry well for me and my daughter. And so I made that big decision to, and this is in the middle of me working with Kai on NDATL, trying to finalize an album. And so I just made that power decision to say, as much as who wants to leave Atlanta? I get questioned all the time. Like, why would you go to Baton Rouge? It's not even New Orleans. It's Baton Rouge.
Baton Rouge. Baton Rouge.
Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
Wrong with Baton Rouge at all, which I think is even better that I wasn't going to a faster city like New Orleans where, it's something going on all the time. So I could sit down. And I was around family. And so, and again, it was a challenge because like I mentioned a little bit earlier, the childhood piece wasn't, as nurturing as I would have liked and what I needed. And, there was some trauma there. So I'm returning home, but also in my mind, knowing that, there's some memories there that aren't as good. So I had to really hone into my maturity, who I am as a person. What do I want out of this? What do I want to get out of this? What is my purpose and my intention? And so I made a deliberate decision to move back home. And I hit the ground running and was in school. I was that student with the big belly walking around campus working on my master's degree. And then once she was born, I was that student with the carrier, bringing her. I was pumping. I was just getting it done. I was getting it done. So it was the best decision I could have ever made, honestly. And in the midst of that, the 2016 flood happened. We all know about Katrina, which was devastating. But I was in Atlanta at that time. And so, I'm checking on my family, all of that. But, we weren't as impacted in Baton Rouge as much as, of course, New Orleans. But the 2016 flood wasn't as, horrible as Katrina, but we lost everything.
You lost it all.
So I'm freshly had moved home. That's our stuff out on the curb. And the entire streets, all the neighborhoods were lined with mounds of belongings from the inside of their house. The water was so high that their refrigerator toppled over.
My goodness. I was trying to figure out what that was. It looked like some appliances on the side. My goodness. Look at that.
That's just how high the water was.
Wow.
There was one picture you can see, there you go. That's how high the water was. That's the tip of a boat, and the water is where you see the line on the house, and you see how low the car is in there. I think for me, clearly I'm used to starting over at this point.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? But for me to experience this with my mother, she's there by herself. She's thinking this is her retirement home. This is where she's gonna be.
Yeah.
Our childhood home. To see her laying photos out in the driveway to dry, that's when it really hit me. Like the whole car, I wish I had a picture of that. The carport was just lined with photos because she's trying to keep those memories, and that's a whole life that she had that you can never get back. They weren't preserved. Even the children, me and my brother, photos. I have no childhood pictures. But she had to start over. Like we lost literally everything. And so we were displaced for months. So that whole experience was very, very interesting. And Genesis at the time was 8 months old.
Wow.
So they came knocking at like 3 a.m. And thank God I was there because my bedroom was in the front of the house. My mom's bedroom was in the back. And she's a heavy sleeper. She would have gotten stuck in that house because I was there. I heard the knock. And so I got up and they're like, you got like 3 minutes. The streets are flooding. You won't be able to get out. And I literally gave my baby to this woman that I didn't know because I didn't know if we were going to make it out.
Right.
I knew I had to go get my mom up. And she's walking away with my daughter yelling out her phone number so I can catch up with them afterwards. Don't know where they're going.
Right.
I just knew my baby was going to be safe with this woman, and I had to go get my mom. So,
wow.
Yeah. And we go through floods frequently, when I was a child, I remember seeing canoes in the street because the den had flooded or, the neighborhood had flooded and we seeing boats in the street like it's nothing. And so my mom's reaction was, okay, well, roll up the carpets. I'm like, yeah, I don't think this is a carpet roll up situation. No. So either you come with me or you stay behind and get in your car. And so when I said that, she knew that it was serious. And I said, I gave someone Genesis. So I have to go catch up. We got to get out of this house.
Man, it's incredible.
Yeah, it was wild. Yeah. It was wild.
I can't even process that. I can't even process the whole thing. But there's something that goes off inside of us when we have to respond in those type of situations.
That fight or flight. And just, the visuals that I have from that, my mom, the mounds, like 10-foot mounds of your belongings in the yard, because people are coming to help, but they're not cognizant of what is valuable to you and sentimental. So they're just throwing everything out, just trying to help. And I remember distinctly my mom sitting on top of one of those mounds, digging through it and just looking at different little items, because 1 minute you have everything and all these memories and all these connections and sentimental items, and then the next minute they're just being tossed or they're destroyed and wet and with no value, and you're just trying to figure out what you can preserve of this life that just got washed away.
I'm gonna ask you one question because you mentioned it, and it's just for the sake of the people that are listening, because we're older now, some of us, and we are still dealing with trauma from our childhood, right? Certain things trigger us. Some of us choose to go to therapy. Some of us don't. Some lean on God, read the word. Some people have accountability partners like friends, and others don't. I want to ask you, because it's like you got out of the den, right? And you went back to the den, right? With a baby in tow. So now
that's exactly how I felt.
We got generational stuff. It's not just you, but it's you and a whole nother generation in your belly. And there's some unresolved things, perhaps, right?
Oh yeah.
And so how did you, not to get too deep, did you forgive them? Those that offended you in that caused the trauma? Did you put it behind you? Did you talk to somebody? How did you maneuver and be so strong in the midst of this?
You have conversations with your tribe.
Okay.
I think we as Black people are good at that, even though, the whole formal therapy thing, we may not lean into as much as we should. but we've always been therapeutic as a community,
Yeah.
because we lean into each other,
Right.
and we're very vigilant with that. So I did have people I could talk to. Some things you just, you don't want to go so in depth.
Right.
But yeah, I did endure physical, emotional, mental abuse. And so returning back into that exact same space was a challenge. However, having gone through what I was dealing with in Atlanta, and knowing my purpose for coming back helped me just have I saw it through a different set of eyes.
Yes.
And I just knew this was temporary,
Right.
for me to be staying back in my childhood home with my mother and dealing with all of that. And then it's crazy because I was able to get an SBA loan out of the flood.
Yes.
As traumatic as it was, we both, my mother and myself, were able to get another homestead. And I was able to buy the house that I'm in now, which is Genesis childhood home. So it's just interesting how things come full circle.
Yeah, and how God continues to bless you in the midst of all of this. And
That's right.
and you've learned, and you know who you are. Like, you've discovered who you are through all of that, through that roadmap of your life. You're clear on who you are and what your purpose is and what Genesis means to you and how you want to set her up and all that. So you've broken generational curses and the things that were afforded to you, some good, some not so good. You've broken those bad things and laid out.
I'm very intentional with how I engage with her. If anyone sees us together, they see it. I'm making sure that bond is there, that line of communication is there. I don't rule in fear. I don't discipline in fear. She respects me, so she's well behaved. We communicate. She knows that she can express her thoughts and feelings. The other day, she was in the restroom taking a bath, and she was calling me, and she said, "Mom, come here and let me share my thoughts." I was like, "I'm there, baby. Here I come."
And how old is Genesis?
7.
See, there you go. You got on the right path.
She's listening. She probably wants to say hi.
Yeah, she could come on and say hi. I want to ask
you can come say hi real
come
quick.
on and say hello so we can see that beautiful face. Because we remember when she was in the belly. So now this is beautiful.
That's right.
I want to ask
come pop your head in, baby.
Because you're so educated already. What led you to go back to get your master's and then your PhD?
Look, this is her. Say
Genesis. Hi. Beautiful girl. Good to see you.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Genesis. What led you to go back?
What? Say that again.
What led you to go back to get your master's and then get your PhD?
I had nothing else to do.
Really?
Honestly, I have to be in pursuit of something, right?
Okay.
I didn't want to be stagnant. I'm back home. I have a child to provide for. I knew I needed to elevate myself academically. I knew music wasn't it. It's funny, most people here in Baton Rouge don't know Kayenne. They know Kaya Simmons and now Dr. Simmons. That's the person they know. And that was also intentional. So I knew that higher education would provide more security that I needed and that I wanted. And mind you, this is 20 years later. I've had a bachelor's degree 20 years. So I returned with child, pregnant, and got back in the program. And then I took a year off between the master's and the PhD because I wasn't sure if I really wanted to do the PhD. I withdrew twice before I committed to it. And then when I committed, I was like, okay, we're doing this. And I'm so glad that I did. And then, it was like the debt, the money that I'm spending. And listen, Michelle, I'm going to drop a bomb on you. I had $113,000 in student loans that were all forgiven through the public service loan forgiveness program.
Won't he do it?
And so I'm so glad that I did pursue this. And so now I don't have to worry about that debt because, when people are pursuing higher degrees, terminal degrees cost.
They do.
So you always have this looming dread. Okay, I got this. Was it even necessary? Did I need to do this? At some point, I must have to start paying this back. Am I going to have the job that I can afford?
Right.
Loan? So so
there are grown people still paying on undergrad degrees.
That's right, and I was too. I was deferring.
Yeah.
Forever. I kept deferring.
Yes.
But so I knew that getting a master's would put me in a more stable position for her.
So now that you're a doctor,
and it kept me busy and just active and in pursuit of something.
Awesome. So now that you're Dr. Simmons, what type of work do you do now, doctor? Because I see you all over LinkedIn, talking to a room full of people, hundreds of people here. Then you're out doing community service work, breaking ground. Tell the people what you do now, Dr. Simmons. What do you do?
I've always been into philanthropy and community. So I worked in nonprofit for a long time. And funny thing, like even the way you're speaking, you never know who's watching your journey, right? And they're never, people pay attention, and you take it for granted. So I was working for this nonprofit organization, Volunteers in Public Schools, for about 7 years. Best experience I could have ever asked for. Wow. My boss at the time, Judy Bethley, is now a dear friend. Under her guidance, I just grew and developed. I had talents that I didn't know I had and skills that I developed. And the way that organization works was that it has a lot of community partners. And the current job that I have now was a community partner that saw how I worked and wanted me to come over and do that for them. And so this position came open. Carl Weber is my boss. And he said, what you're doing is public affairs. And I said, okay. And at the time I was working on my dissertation and I was hesitant and I just wasn't ready to take that leap. But again, he was put in my life. I've had these guardian angels that were placed in my life. And out of that relationship and partnering with them, I just had a role switch, and now I'm the partner for the same nonprofit. Wow. And I do public affairs. I cover 6 parishes in Louisiana, so it's 3 of us for the state. So I'm responsible for the Northern River parishes, and I love the work. We do some legislative tracks. It's a natural gas company. It's Atmos Energy.
Yes.
Phenomenal organization. The enterprise is just wonderful. They're very employee development oriented, and the culture is just so nurturing and supportive. And so the industry part I can learn, but the public affairs piece is innate. And coming from booking shows and performing and handling media and engaging with people, developing relationships, getting on collaborative shows, all of those skills is what I can hone into doing public affairs with what I'm currently doing. It's just a beautiful thing to watch how, those challenges have been able to develop me into who I am now.
You're looking good too.
Thank you.
We laid eyes on you just 2 weeks ago. As I said at the beginning of this conversation, we were housing in the park and there was an ATL weekender and you were there and you were looking good. So when you're in Atlanta, is you get the music bug? Is the music bug still in you, Kayenne? Come on.
Listen.
What's happening?
I was working on the project still when I moved to Baton Rouge. Finalizing some things, going to the studio, sending vocals, and it's like it's just a snowball effect. I've built relationships. I'm still working with Andy Compton over in Europe. Recently, I've gotten some DMs from some producers that in Italy that are A&R for Trax Records in Chicago. I'm working with Reagan Gray, DJ Reagan Gray, who found one of my songs on Real People compilation, and she's in Canada, so we're working on some material there. Recently, someone else in France just hit me up, and it's just a beautiful thing. And so when I come to Atlanta, I'm always, calling someone and say, hey, I'll be in town in case you want me to fall through. I'll get in the lab and cook up something.
I'm a songwriter.
Right. You want to write some songs?
I'm a songwriter.
That's work, why not, while I'm there, because I will be coming because, her Genesis dad is there and her side of the family is there.
Yeah.
Plus, I have family there in the house music community and beyond because I lived there for 20 years. And so I will always be a staple coming back home to Atlanta. And looking for opportunities to do work. I'm trying to balance it out because, I have had a shift with, prioritizing what's paying the bills right now.
Yeah, I understand that.
Which is very new to me, finally being secure with my career and what I'm doing for work. But the great thing, again, is that my boss is, he's buying my vinyl. He's following me. We introduce new artists to each other. It's just a beautiful thing. And so he's very supportive of my career path musically as well. So I will never not do music. It may look a little bit different or, Michelle, I'm at a place where I can do it at my leisure. I'm not pressed, and so that pressure is off of me. I honestly was getting, not only the pregnancy was part of why I left, but I was getting jaded. I had an attitude. I started feeling like
away.
I was a little resentful about some things and just a little jaded just from the industry itself. And people that are in the industry know what I'm talking about. It can do that to you. And so that shift was good for me. And like I said, more relationships and contacts have developed from this, and I'm able to do it at will. I just bought a studio, which I should have been bought a studio, but it's all about time. And so I'm learning to record myself. And so that makes it much more easier to work on projects. I just go right in my lab here at the home and lay vocals. Anybody want to give me some tutorials? By all means, please call me because I done YouTube. Man,
girl, you doing it. You're doing it all.
I'm trying.
You are doing it all. Is there anybody you'd like to work with that you haven't worked with yet?
Oh,
give me like 3 people, 2 to 3 people.
Oh my God,
that's too many to name.
Oh wow!
Anybody?
I would, honestly, I would like. I still like to do my R&B soul stuff. I would like to revisit working with Isaac Hayes, if he's listening. I consider myself still a little baby in the house music community. I would like to work with Michelle Bingham. I don't think I would want to do a duet at all. I'm not about to even do that to myself. But I would like to do some writing with her. Me and Miranda have had some light conversations, Miranda Nicole, about doing a collaboration. I think we would complement each other very well.
She's beautiful.
I think I'm happy with who I've had the opportunity to work with, but I'd like to do a duet. We've talked about with Miranda, so y'all call her up and get me to New York and get her.
She's down in Brooklyn. Yeah, she's doing good things up there too.
Yes.
Glam Soul Star. Glam Star. She's awesome. The thing is, and Monique Bingham is somebody. She's what a staple in the space.
A unicorn.
Yeah, she is. She's someone I would love to talk to. I'm leaning in. I would love to talk to her because I've had the opportunity to talk to so many beautiful women in house, right? House music, the singers, songwriters, as you are. You ladies have had the opportunity to work with so many great producers. I tip my hat always to Kayenne, the Prime Minister here in Atlanta, doing great things.
You and me both. I have to acknowledge what he has done for my house music career, especially coming from R&B, not really knowing the community at all. And I thank you and everyone listening that's in the house music community as well that have embraced me as a legitimate house music artist, because y'all don't play. Y'all don't play behind your house music, baby.
We serious.
So,
we serious.
I'm just very proud that you guys have solidified me as a staple artist that is legit, and I do take it seriously, and I do want to continue learning under the guidance of Kai. It's been a beautiful thing. It's been a joy watching, working with Salah as well, and Kemet, they're really doing their thing. And there may be some more collaborations with other producers. I've done some things with Swift as well. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing where this goes.
Yeah.
And a little bit of side note. So the name, I like to share how that came about, the Kayenne Lyve, and then we can continue. But I did want to kind of backtrack with where that came from.
Okay.
So I never had any intention of going by anything other than Kaya, right? But at the time when I was working with Stress Free Entertainment, they were shopping me the labels. And there was the rapper Kaya, the one that did My Neck, My Back.
Yeah.
Her name was Kaya. And so there was some confusion as to who I was. And so we were brainstorming like, okay, well, what can we call you? And they were like, Cayenne Pepper, Cayenne. I am spicy.
You are spicy.
And so it just clicked. So, and it's not so far away from Kaya. So I love it. I love Cayenne. I think it really encapsulates who I am.
Yeah.
And the live part was because, I would book shows, and it would be with a live band. And so I would put Kayenne Lyve, and people started calling me Kayenne Lyve. And so I think that just works as well, because it just brings a certain energy to who I am as an artist. And so that's where the Kayenne Lyve came. I thought that was a little interesting.
That is interesting. That's cute. That's cute. I didn't even think to ask that. You got me on that one. That's good.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good one. That's great to know. What is your future plans? It's a two-sided question, Kayenne. On the PhD side, as a doctor, what is next for you in that space? What do you envision for yourself there?
That's what I'm exploring now. I do have my website, Genesis RC LLC. That's Genesis Research and Consulting. That's my business that I have, where I see myself doing grant writing, doing some program development and evaluation, data collection, consultation, things of that nature.
Okay.
I love developing programs for outreach and making an impact, figuring out a need and designing a program to address that population, and helping nonprofits strategize. I consider myself to be a vision strategist. And so that's what you saw with the speech that I was giving, the presentation I was giving with Dudley DeBosier, a law firm here. It was a forum that they do for nonprofit organizations to get resources and information, and figure out how to get funding. And so as a corporate funder, that's part of what I do in my position with Atmos Energy as a manager of public affairs. We also seek out nonprofits to support that are in line with our vision, our corporate social responsibility vision, called Fueling Safe and Thriving Communities. And so with that, we do that kind of work, a lot of community outreach too. So I just see myself monetizing my skills and talents.
Nice.
There's a little bit of confidence that I need to get, but I've clearly been doing it, and I just need to take that leap. So it's Genesis RCLLC.com if anyone wants a consultation or help me to help them write a grant or anything like that.
I'm gonna slide in for consultation. So that's good to know. I'm gonna slide in there. And then on the singer-songwriter side, what do you have cooking? Anything that you can share, or just know the pots are getting warm? You got some things simmering?
Yes.
Talk to us about that.
So I have an album, Michelle. It's called Genesis. It's a homage to my daughter. Dropping the first week of October.
Nice.
We finally got a window of when this release will be had. It's on NDATL, again, by my house music mentor and brother, friend, Kai Alsay. There's a lot of amazing collaborations on it.
Nice.
From Chris Brand, Stephen Ringer, Phil Asher, just some amazing collaborations. And so it's about, I would say, 10 songs, but if you purchase the entire album, it's a total of about 15 songs. There's some extended versions and some different versions of songs on there. Salah,
Yeah,
Kemet.
Kemet. Keys by Rick Corey, right?
Yes, some great instrumentalists that have contributed. Some great production. Delma can play. Kafele Bandele is on horn. We were
Tanya
actually
Green.
high school sweethearts.
Wow.
Yeah, and so Kai one day was like, "Oh, I'm bringing in this trumpet player from New York." I'm like, "Who is it?" Whoa, and it was him, and we hadn't seen each other in like 20 years, and so that was just great to see that come full circle.
Nice, nice.
I'm hoping I don't forget any good mentions, because there's some really heavy hitters on that album, and I'm very proud of how Kai was very strategic in putting those collaborations together.
You look like you got some remixed versions from Teddy Douglas
Teddy Douglas,
and Bread Dancers, and just a whole lot of good people involved in this effort. So that sounds like this is going to be a banger, because of everybody, all the sauce and the ingredients that's making this sound. It sounds like it's going to be awesome, and I'm super excited for you.
I'll be the first artist on NDACL, first female artist, I believe, artists altogether to have a full length album on NDACL. So I'm very proud.
Go on, Prime Minister. Yeah, that's a vision. That's a vision. Congratulations. Yeah.
So excited. It's been on constant repeat since I got the final proof.
But you know what? Nothing happens, Kai, before it's time, right? Kayenne?
That's right.
Nothing happens before it's time.
I mean, we started this album when Someone came out, and that was 2009.
Yeah, nothing happens before it's time.
That's very true.
Yes.
That's very true.
So now is the time, because you got 10 toes down. You are grounded. You know who you are. You've had a reset. You have a beautiful home, a beautiful daughter. You are degreed so many times, like 3 times. You're a doctor. You're doing the work that you love, and you're still singing. It's all, you're just a beautiful gift wrap package. Like, like this is, man.
And what I love about the album, Michelle, is that, when I listen to it, it's very personal, very, very personal. I started it when I wasn't even thinking about being a mother.
Right.
And so it started then, and it encapsulates a lot of what I was dealing with emotionally, and the instability, and some of the turmoil, but a lot of the joys as well. It's very honest. Good. Some of the songs are very raw and kind of stripped down vocals, which, I enjoy and appreciate, because it's authentic and it's real. Some of them much more crisp and polished. A lot of it is definitely signature house. A lot of it is actually down tempo jazz elements to it.
Nice.
I would never profess to be, a scatter or anything like that, or just this jazz artist. But the elements, the musicality has a lot of those elements in it. It's just a great projection of this chapter of my life. It's very real, very honest. I'm pouring my heart into it, and Genesis has some featured interludes, which is great to be able to do. And so it's just a beautiful thing.
Good for you. Good for you. I'm happy for you. You
Thank
look well. You're shining and glowing, and man, that's good.
Thank you.
I love to see you. I love to see people winning. And I had, I was on the outside, and we meet and greet, we're social. I had no idea. But I just know that it's important that you treat people the way you desire to be treated, right? And sometimes just a hello or a hug and just a warm 1-minute exchange can mean the world to a person. We just don't know. So I never want to take that for granted. And we had you, and then you moved back to Baton Rouge. So whenever I see you in the A, I gotta, squeeze you, because I'm like, oh, this is a nice surprise. Because home is Baton Rouge, but I think Atlanta's home for you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So this is awesome.
What you said speaks volumes. You don't always know what people are struggling with, what they're dealing with, what their past experiences have been that have made them who they are. And sometimes it takes time for that individual to hone into where they want to be.
Right.
And how to get there.
Yes.
And I think that is my personal journey. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've made a complete fool of myself on many occasions.
Yeah.
But I'm so thankful that people saw me in it all and knew that there was something there and that I had potential and to be great. And I'm just happy to be able to live in that space right now and to get so much support. Even now, despite some of the hiccups and mistakes and bridges burned or what have you, people really stuck by me and are championing for me. And I absolutely appreciate that. And that is just of so much value. And people need to know, like you said, just that hug or just that little bit of acknowledgement for you to make that walk across the lot when we were at, the Weekender. You saw me. I was like, oh,
yeah, he's trying to be cognito. I was like, no. I was like, I'm going over there. I left work in the door, and I was like, I'm going over there. I'm going to give her a hug. Are you kidding me?
Just for you to do that meant so much to me, and I told you how much it meant after the fact. And look, here we are, and I have so much to share, and I just appreciate being given the platform to do that. And you just making me feel so wonderful right now, and it's so accomplished. You don't realize it when you're in the thick of it doing it.
Right.
Sometimes being able to see your life through another set of eyes and the value and the journey that you don't even know that people are paying attention to. It's so validating. It's so affirming that, I'm doing it right and I'm getting it together.
Yeah, you got it together, all the way together. You are beautiful. How can the people find you? How can they find you, girl? Where you at?
Kayenne Lyve on all platforms. Kayenne Live. Instagram, Facebook. That's pretty much my limit. I haven't graduated to anything else.
You ain't got time, doctor.
That's right. I do have the website www.KayenneLyve.com where I sell merchandise. It's the artwork from some of my releases throughout the years. If, you're a fan of specific songs or a specific album, then you can get a shirt or what have you. And so I would appreciate it is fine tuning some things to be sure that the shipping and all that is up to par. But if you put in an order at this point, I will see it and I will fulfill it.
Awesome.
So just bear with me with that transition process. But just doing some updates to the site. But it's KayenneLyve.com. And I appreciate everyone's support.
We love it. This was awesome. Thank you so much, Kayenne, for your time. I wish you nothing but continued success in everything that you do. We're going to be in touch. Don't you worry. You are stuck with me. Once you do the show, you are stuck. You are stuck with me.
It's a good kind of stuck. I'm trying to do a listening party or some sort of event. I'm working with some people. It's in its infantile stages of planning and just right now it's just an idea. So I am thinking about coming to Atlanta to do a listening party. It may not be around the release date because of time crunch. It's, that's like literally in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
So maybe towards the end of October, but you all will hear about it. I'll be sure to let you know so that we can spread the word and have a intimate, conversation and song type of situation. Not too much talking, but more songs than conversations, but I would love to get personal and just talk.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to that. All the best to you, you beautiful thing. Bye, Genesis. Listen, everyone, that's my time. You know me, Real Chicks Rock. I am everywhere. You can find me on X. Now, it ain't Twitter no more. You can find me on X. You can find me on Facebook. We got the website, realchicksrock.com. And I'm on Instagram. I'm on the gram doing some things over there as well. That's my time. But before I go, I want to leave you with this. May you live to be 100 and I live to be 100 minus a day so that I never knew that beautiful people like you had passed away. Until next time, take care, be well, and continue to rock on. Thank you for checking out Real Chicks Rock Presents Real Discussions. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next show.